We're not going to talk about lossless today, but instead I want to focus on the feature that everyone can experience right now. That is spatial audio with Dolby Atmos. You know, some swear by how revolutionary it is, but a lot of others are not so convinced. Why is that happening? Well, I'm here to explain, so let's get started right now. Selamat pagi! Good morning everyone, Kenneth here, and today we're going to talk about how Dolby Atmos works on Apple Music. Now, I want to stress that I always give you my own honest opinion. I'll put the full disclosure down in the description below, and I genuinely made this video so I could help you decide if these new Apple Music updates are worth switching over from whatever streaming service you're using right now. Or if you're subscribed already, I'm gonna tell you the differences and you can judge for yourself if it's even worth using. Now, I'm not gonna tell you how to turn it on. There's a lot of other videos and articles for that, but I have a few tips and tricks that I found along the way. First things first, if you don't see Dolby Atmos or lossless in your music setting, try toggling sync library on and off. This worked for me the first time. Next, I recommend turning on sound check because Dolby Atmos mics are always 2 clicks less loud than stereo. This lets you switch between Atmos and stereo tracks without much friction. Keep in mind though, your earbuds has to be loud enough because if you usually listen at 60% volume, you will now be listening at around 80%. And naturally, the max volume won't be as loud too, but it is what it is. Finally, make sure that download in Dolby Atmos is turned on. This is quite self-explanatory, but the more important thing is when you want to switch between Atmos and stereo within the same track, do not download the song first. Why? I found that when you play something in Atmos, for example, you won't be able to switch to stereo until you change to another song and back. This does not apply, however, if you're using an AirPods Pro or Max because you can just toggle spatial audio in the control center. Okay, let's get to the juicy part now, and we're going to compare Dolby Atmos to stereo on my AirPods Pro, then compare it to my top third-party earbuds pick. Please keep in mind that I do customize the sound and headphones accommodation to the balanced tone at moderate setting because honestly, the AirPods Pro sucks out of the box. I've talked about it in my AirPods Pro video, I'll link it down below, and yeah, I recommend you to do this as well. Anyway, we're going to start with one of the best Atmos mix I've yet to find. This is What's Going On by Marvin Gaye. Playing the song on stereo, you'll hear people talking to each other at nose level, a little bit to the right eye side. Then when the music comes in, you'll notice the saxophone playing at the far left ear with guitars, drums, and bass lines playing in the back, with vocals just in front of it. This is a very nicely made song, no doubt, but Dolby Atmos takes it to the next level. Starting from the people chatter at the start, you immediately get a sense of space like you're listening in a small bar. The voices are lifted up to the center forehead level, and when the music starts, the instrument separation is very clear. You can now hear the saxophone and bass actually playing in the center back, acoustic guitar coming from far right, and on the far left side there's percussion and electric guitar playing. The vocals are put in front, separated from everything else, and you have the drums spanning across the back, so you hear hi-hat and snare hits on the left, and then tom-toms on the right side, and these are all very detailed. You can hear the bass line, the guitar strumming pattern, even the different sound of acoustic and electric guitar. Everything is just in a level of detail that you don't get with a normal stereo mix. Now, comparing this specific song to some of my favorite third-party earbuds, the results vary a lot, which might explain why people feel underwhelmed, especially if their first shot at Atmos is on a cheapo earbuds. Let's find out why. Starting with the one more ComfoBuds Pro. Yes, it does elevate the vocals up and center, but it doesn't have enough sparkle in the upper mids to treble, so the bass becomes a bit too much and blurs the space between the instruments, limiting the soundstage that's already not much larger than the stereo counterpart. And you don't hear as much softer details like I've described before, so if 10 is the score of the AirPods Pro, I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. Moving on to the FIIL T1 Pro now. Here we have a pretty interesting result. With a normal EQ, it's got quite a strong bass that again limits the sense of space, only this time it's balanced out with its boosted treble, so I'd give it about 6 out of 10, a little bit better than one more. But don't worry, it gets even better if you use treble EQ. This controls the bass even more, creating space for other instruments and brings more airiness to the vocal. Even though it might sound a bit thin at times, I say it's a solid 8 out of 10. Almost there, but still not as spacious and full sounding as the AirPods Pro. Now the Soundpeats H1 actually surprised me here. Turns out the balanced armature plus dynamic driver combo makes it very capable throughout the spectrum. It produces clear treble with powerful bass that doesn't muddy the spacing between instruments. I'd give it a solid 8 out of 10 out of the box, but it gets better if you put bass reduction EQ in the Soundpeats app. The mid bass is now controlled slightly more, so vocals get more space, sounding cleaner and fuller without affecting the sub bass reach, so you still get that warm and punchy Soundpeats signature. I really have no problem giving it a 9 out of 10. At this point, the AirPods Pro only scored higher because it placed the vocals more prominently along with an extra airiness feel in the upper end. But it really comes down to your preference of which sound signature you like more. Finally, let's talk about this legendary earbuds, the Moondrop Sparks. I'll just say it right now, I give it 10 out of 10 right away. Keep in mind that the same score doesn't mean the same exact sound. The AirPods Pro still puts vocals as the star of a show, while the Sparks keeps everything natural, without the loss of any detail obviously. You can still easily differentiate acoustic to electric guitar, the tom-toms sound just as clean, only now the Sparks place the vocals a little bit softer, and I think I like it more than the AirPods actually. This really is a phenomenal sounding earbuds. I'm gonna review it soon, so if you want to see it, definitely subscribe to the channel. By the way, later this year with iOS 15, you'll get head tracking on AirPods Pro and Max, so instruments will stay where they are no matter where you're looking at, and the spatial audio effect is gonna be even cooler, but I'll reserve the judgment until I got to try it out. And as I've said before, What's Going On is one of the best Atmos mix I've yet to find. You get better spacing of instruments, you hear details you barely get before, and these are the main things that you should look for when listening to Dolby Atmos tracks. But not all Atmos mix actually sound better to the stereo counterparts. One of the example is Positions by Ariana Grande. The Atmos mix places the vocals further away and make the pluck notes reverb a little bit. I mean, I'm here for the vocals in bass. Why make it go away? So yeah, I much prefer the direct stereo sound here, and honestly, this is one of the songs that I think could drive people away from spatial audio, because it doesn't offer any kind of benefits. This doesn't mean that beat-driven songs can't do well with Atmos though. The Weeknd, for example, have some of the better mixes out there. Take I Feel It Coming, for example. On the normal mix, you'll hear the vocal in the center, synth going in from left to right, everything is at nose level, and the staging isn't particularly that big. On the pre-chorus, starting from that "You've Been Scared of Love" part, every ending song will be harmonized by Daft Punk. But you hear that only ever so slightly in the stereo mix. Then moving on to the chorus, you'll hear the slap bass somewhere on the right with strumming guitar on the left, like the position is just like on top of each other. Now, Dolby Atmos changes this big time. From the start, you can hear everything is playing in a much larger space, with vocals placed further away, echoing around the room, and the Daft Punk harmonization in the pre-chorus section is also much easier to distinguish. Also, once again, the instruments are way better separated in the chorus. So what I mean is, you can hear the slap bass right now further to the right, separated from the basic bass lines that playing just behind you, and the strumming electric guitar is now on the far left side. Every note is played clearly with its own placement, which is much better than stereo that blends everything together. Also, I can't complete the song without mentioning the end part starting at 3 minutes 13 seconds. This is where the Weeknd just keeps on repeating "I Feel It Coming," and in between each phrases, sometimes he would fill in or Daft Punk would fill in. You hear this as vocal on top of another vocal in a stereo mix. But once you turn on Dolby Atmos, you can actually hear the main vocal staying in the front center, with fill-ins coming from the far left, then the far right. This is just incredible. By the way, despite the 10 out of 10 score, the Moondrop Sparks doesn't sound as spacious or separated as the AirPods Pro here. So keep in mind that as far as true wireless earbuds goes, I think the AirPods Pro are going to be at the top, at least for now, due to its specific tuning for Atmos. And also, I do have the AirPods OG, but half-in-ears just don't sound that good, so yeah, don't expect too much out of it. Those are some of the most notable songs that I think should give you a good idea of what Dolby Atmos is. In reality though, many others sound nice with Atmos but isn't actually that impressive. Some of the examples are Taylor Swift's Fearless album or Casey Musgrave's Same Trail to Different Park album. This is just the start though, and as of this moment, I don't think it's necessary for you to jump over to Apple Music just because of this. The Atmos enabled songs are still very limited, the Android app is still waiting to be updated, and the recommendation algorithm still sucks, you know? A big reason why many chose Spotify or YouTube Music instead. But now that they've actually delivered lossless and Dolby Atmos at no extra cost, I believe others will follow suit very soon. And at the end, we as consumer wins. So that's pretty much it for the video. I hope it was helpful. Let me know if you have any further questions, and don't forget to subscribe, especially if you want to see the Moondrop Sparks review. Gotta get back to work now. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.